father's going to be here today, y'all. Hello. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Judge.
We can hear you,
I don't know about my client.
Okay, Miss Lang, what about yours? Where's your client?
Judge, I'm sorry, here I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, where's your client?
We texted back and forth today. I did send him the link again. That was at noon, and I have not heard back from him since.
Okay. Okay, Miss Wright, this is your motion. Have y'all talked about it?
I talked to Miss Vanna briefly earlier, and it seemed like we were still not able to agree.
Okay, well, let me look at the docket from last time. Mr. Edwards didn't appear again. Mom's visits increased for CPS and ad litem's. Monitor returns agreed by CPS and ad litem's. No alcohol, no CBD, no spice, no Delta 8, no bath salts. Next, no visits for either dad until service plan compliance, including drug tests. Dad paid child support. I guess he didn't pay child support. Did Mr. Edwards pay child support, Ms. Potts? No, okay. Okay, so that's where we are. And Miss Wright, your motion is for a monitor return or overnight visits, correct?
It's really for overnight visits, Judge. That's what we talked about at the last hearing, and then it was represented to the court that Ms. Groth had a positive UA for marijuana, which she did not. It turned out that it was a positive marijuana hair strand test, which dated back to the beginning of the case, nail test. And so she hasn't had a positive test at all in this case since the start, and her marijuana was out of her system. And the problem we have right now is the ad litem, and I guess CASA and CPS don't want her to have overnight visits, which is what CPS asked for in their court report until a new caseworker was assigned. So that's really the issue.
So we got a new caseworker. Ms. Cheney agrees to overnights or doesn't agree to overnights? I mean, Ms. Torres.
So this, the new caseworker is actually Brooklyn Gilmore. However, she is on vacation. So Ms. Torres is filling in today for this hearing. The department is not in agreement to overnights right away since we've only had supervised, but the department does agree to start some Saturday, some lengthy unsupervised visits so we can start progressing. We would like some injunctions in place. Specifically, I think there are some concerns that Ms. Groth might still have some sort of relationship with Mr. Gardner. So we would ask the court to order an injunction against the children having any contact with him. And for now, for Ms. Groth to have the visits in Marble Falls unsupervised, and for her not to be allowed to take the children to the Burger King in Marble Falls to eat because that's where Mr. Gardner works. But we would definitely, she's working all of her services. We've added a few additional ones that were recommended in her psychological, and she's complying with everything that we're asking, Judge. She's recently even started, Ms. Tina Nunley is starting to target substance abuse and parenting and individual therapy with her. And so we are in agreement to start to progress. We're just not to overnights just yet.
Miss Wright, what is her visitation now?
Let's see, I can tell you, she texted me that earlier. I believe she's still doing visits with the placement or at the placement's house. But she's doing, let's see, every afternoon and weekends with the girls. So she's just there at placement's house, but has them, I guess, goes there every day after school. Or Serena, can you tell us what?
I was just wondering if I could talk. I've had unsupervised visits since April. I pick them up from daycare every day, take them to the placement. We do everything until bedtime. I leave after they go to bed at night. I spend every afternoon and weekend and every minute that I can with them, unless I'm working services or doing something towards the case or meeting with somebody, of course. I'm sorry?
Do you spend the night at the placement's house?
No, I haven't. I usually come home to take care of my house and go to work the next day, and they do the morning routine without me is the big thing that the that I'm not present for usually, just because that would just be an extra hassle. But I do pick them up, take them home, do dinner, do baths, bedtime, all of that. I would definitely not be taking them to Burger King in Marble Falls for any reason.
Where do you live, ma'am?
Granite Shoals,
And where do you work?
Granite Shoals.
Doing what?
I work at the dollar store. I just graduated college 2 weeks ago. So when I have this baby, I'm looking to go back to work as an accountant instead of retail.
Where are you going to do that?
I have a few options. I've been hesitant to get a job right now because I'm 7 months pregnant, and I was just going to stick with my job, and then when I go on break after to have the baby, go back to professional job instead of back to retail.
Who's the father of your baby?
Christopher Garner, the same as
Okay.
Anastasia, the youngest.
Okay. And where is placement? Remind me.
Marble Falls.
And you said you've had them unsupervised. Basically, you're only unsupervised when you pick them up from school and take them home to the placement.
Yes, sometimes we stop at the park. That was approved at the other visit. I have not taken them home to Granite Shoals at all. We go to parties sometimes and other places, but we haven't. I haven't taken them home.
Has placement gone with you to the parties and stuff?
No, we were under the impression that we could have unsupervised visits.
What's the
That's-
longest period of time you've been unsupervised with your kids recently?
Probably 3 or 4 hours this Saturday.
Okay.
I took them to Bee Caves to a birthday party.
You drive?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that all right? I was under the impression that that was okay.
You have a driver's license?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Okay. You have insurance?
Yeah. Everything's legal.
Okay.
I own my car and I own my house.
Has Miss Gilmore, Miss Torres, Miss Weed, anybody been out to your house, check it out, Miss Potts?
Miss Brooklyn and Miss Collins were here last week.
Where does Mr. Garner live?
I am unsure. I know he works in Marble Falls. I doubt he has a place at all.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Wright, you have any questions of Ms. Graw?
Just want to let the court know I can do it through testimony, or I can just say it. I mean, I'm good
You
with
just-
being informed. All right. She has made a plan with the current placement for if the kids are home or if they're on an extended visit or whatever, for when she does have the baby in August. They have a plan to where the older kids can go with placement. And so she's taking care of all that while she's having the baby. And that's really it. She's done all the services. I think everyone agrees to that. And really, Judge, we're looking for an increase. And I know that everyone can increase it by agreement, but they don't agree. And so it's just hard. She's kind of in stuck, and then we don't have a hearing till August. So that's really why we're here. I never asked for a special hearing because it's just, we've got frequent hearings enough, but this one I thought we needed to get the ball rolling. So.
Okay, Ms. Vanna?
I had a couple questions of Ms. Groth. Ms. Groth, when were unsupervised visits approved and by who? Do you
At
know?
the family team meeting in April, right before our last court date.
Okay, so you've actually been having unsupervised contact and visits during the weekends and weekdays, have you?
Yes.
Okay.
Just as needed. We're usually at the house together. We're all a family, but like when they have something to do, I just stick with the kids so that they have a little bit more freedom.
Okay. And is your house ready? There were a lot of concerns with your home. Have you cleaned up your house and the property?
Yes, it has. I believe the first time I saw Brooklyn, she approved it. Savannah actually approved it in her very last time coming. I moved into this house about a month or two into the case, and I've completely remodeled it. I guess this is as good a time as any This is their bedroom. I painted it, and we've got bunk beds. It's purple. It's got a whole painting mural. Fairy lights and toy box. Beds for both kids because it's a pretty small bedroom, but it is nice. Bathroom, running water, food in the fridge, and everything. It's kind of messy, but sink water. Living room. It's kind of weird to do a home tour on a court date.
Okay, I like pictures. That's good. I like that.
Thank you.
That's good.
I worked on it. I did it all by myself. The yard is very pretty and has a playscape for them. And
Is it a mobile home or a house? Or RV? What is it?
it's a mobile home that's my grandparents bought several years ago with additions onto it. So it's kind of a hybrid. This kitchen part's just the only part that's really a mobile home now.
Is it 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms? What is it?
2 bedrooms, 1 bath.
Okay, where's your bedroom?
This is my bedroom that I'm in. This is where I'll plan to have 1 baby. And then I'll have another baby in this area too. I have another crib out here in the living room. And I also have this really large add-on that I have been working on cleaning out and fixing up to make into bedrooms for the future whenever I have 4 kids that all need more space. But I have ceased working on that because I'm very pregnant now and can't lift over 15 pounds. So I'll have to keep going on that.
Okay.
Do
you have a fenced in yard?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have your neighbors? Where are your grandparents that own the house?
My grandfather passed last year. My dad passed last year as well. My grandmother that is still living is in New Braunfels in a nursing home. I'm working with her to get all the paperwork in order to have it officially in my name. We have to get an affidavit of heirship. And that's in the progress. I'm actually going to go see her on Friday to finalize everything, I believe.
Does your grandfather own the land too?
Yes.
I saw some houses out in the back out when you went outside. Are those the neighbors or is that family or what?
There's a shed out. There's a couple of sheds. The neighbors to the side, that's an abandoned house. The ones across the street, those are my little sisters and their grandmother's house. And there's another older lady that lives behind me.
Do you have any pets?
I have 2 dogs and 1 cat.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Vanna, any more questions?
Not of Ms. Groff.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Ms. Grawl?
No, Your Honor.
I have some questions, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Potts.
Okay. Ms. Groff, in the beginning, you had a condition, I believe somebody called it syncope, where you would faint. Have you been able to? Yes. Have you been able to obtain treatment for that?
I've had treatment for that many times since it started when I was 16. I have talked to my therapist about it as well. Like I said at the beginning of the case, I haven't had issues with it in several years except for in extenuating circumstances. Like the first time I had an issue in the past 2 years was when this whole case started, just because of it was horrible to lose my children right before Christmas. And that's the only time I've really had an issue with it. It's really an anxiety. What they say is that my brain shuts off when it can't handle certain situations. But I was approved to get my driver's license several years ago through therapy in Llano, and I've talked to all my therapists about it, and they all say that I'm doing great. I learned a lot of coping mechanisms, and I'm always welcome to learn more. I've been talking to many more therapists than usual lately. But basically now that I restructured my life and I'm doing good, it's not so much of an issue.
Okay, thank you. Also wanted to ask you, the affidavit said you were arrested for assault, family violence. Has that charge been dismissed or is it still out there?
I was not arrested, but I was issued a ticket. It has been dropped as of June 1st because that was 6 months after the incident. That was me breaking up with Chris, and that's how this whole case started. Because, well, what they ruled was that I didn't hurt him. I didn't have the intention to hurt him. I had the intention to try to slap him into his right mind, or to get him to be, sometimes that I was definitely not the right choice of action, but that's what I felt had to happen at the time. I'm sorry.
Okay. Where does Poppy Yarborough live in relation to you? She was also in the affidavit, I guess your mom with a long
Yes.
prior CPS history. Where does she live?
She only lives 2 blocks away from me with my grandmother.
Does she ever come to your house?
No.
Okay. So we might want to add her to an injunction as well, Your Honor. I think she recently was having some major issues, if I understand it correctly. You also had, I think when the Casas visit, you had 7 puppies in your house.
It was 4, and I've rehomed them, except for the one that I'm keeping.
So you have 2 dogs now that are yours?
Yes.
Okay. You had mentioned to Brooklyn that Mr. Garner, you saw him walking down the street around your house. Is that correct?
It wasn't close to my house, but it was in Granite Shoals, like by the highway, like the major road.
Okay. How far is that from your house? It's not very far. Is it?
No, my house is pretty close to. It's about, I don't know, 3 big blocks. It depends on how you count as a block. It's 2 streets behind the main road.
Okay.
It's in a little horse.
Did you talk to him?
No.
Okay.
That's what I was concerned about, was like driving and with the girls and seeing him, is we're,
Okay.
trying to make it to where they don't have, the trauma of seeing him sporadically, or just seeing him and not understanding why he's not a part of their lives now.
Okay. I believe you had asked Miss Gilmore if Mr. Garner could come to the hospital when you had the baby. Is that correct?
I'm asking
Just
legally.
yes or no. Can he come to the hospital? Is that what you asked her?
That's not exactly what I asked her. I was asking if I'm allowed to not allow him at the hospital to sign his paperwork, or if I could get in trouble for him, because if I'm not letting him around me. But is that also a problem, because he has to be on the paperwork for the baby? If we could do it some way without him seeing the baby, that he could sign the paperwork.
Okay, that's good. So if you need a babysitter, like if something comes up while you're at your house, who do you call if you've got all those kids at your house?
My sister Brooke lives right next door to me, and she's actually planning on moving in with me for the time whenever I have the new baby. I forgot to tell Sonia that was the plan for after the baby's born.
What is your sister Brooke's full name?
Brooke Trotter. She was approved at the beginning of the case for placement. I also have Paige. They're twins.
Okay, and Paige is the one that just had the baby?
Yeah, she's got a little bit more on her plate.
Okay, I don't have any further questions of this witness, Judge. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just to clarify, so Mr. Groth, are you wanting Mr. Garner at the hospital or not?
No, I just was wondering about, I'd prefer that he's not at the hospital, but I was wondering if that's a conflict about how we get him onto the birth certificate, because I've only ever had them sign it there. And if Jason didn't with Amaya, and that's why we have this problem with the DNA situation.
We can address that in this case without him being at the hospital. So I would say that's your call.
Okay.
That's all, Judge, I wanted to clarify for her.
She was just saying that she didn't want me around him at all. And I was like, well, we need to plan for that situation that's going to happen soon.
Miss Groth, what are the kids doing during the summer now? During the day? I mean, they have plans with the caregivers, etc. What are they doing?
They're in daycare every day.
Okay. Are they going on a trip with the caregivers or anything you know of?
Not that we know of. We've talked about planning something, but we don't really know how everything's happening with the case. So we haven't made solid plans. That's kind of why we wanted to do this, so that we know what to expect. Me and my Aunt Lisa are both planners, and we like to know how to plan the summer.
Are you and placement getting along okay?
Yes.
Okay.
She's like my mom. She's my maternal figure.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Wright, any more questions, or anybody have any more questions of Ms. Graw? No? Okay, any more witnesses, Ms. Wright?
Judge, I would call whoever's testifying for the department.
I guess Ms. Torres, okay. Or,
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
And Mouton.
All right, perfect. Ms. Torres, can you tell me the status of Ms. Groth's progress on her service plan? Is she up to date?
To my knowledge, she's currently participating in therapy on a regular basis with Miss Nunley. I did speak with Miss Nunley today, and she reported that she looked forward to a monitored return soon. Her language was not clear on what that exact timeline was, but that's the last she noted. I was informed that family therapy is beginning pretty quickly with Miss Bailey. Drug testing continues to be negative, with her last drug test negative on 6/8. Again, her last positive was the nail strand back in March, so no outstanding concerns there. We were also informed today that she completed her parenting class, and I believe she also completed her psychiatric evaluation on 5/15. Again, I'm not Miss Gilmore. I only had a couple hours to scrounge up some information, but it doesn't appear that there's any outlying services that need to be initiated as per the psychiatric evaluation.
And the parenting classes and the drug counseling, that was recommended in the psychological, is that correct?
I would not be aware of such information. Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, Judge, I don't know how to get the information if we don't have a witness that can testify to what we've all been fighting about this whole time.
I think she's doing her services. I'm not
Okay.
worried.
Ms. Mouton can answer those questions, and I was going to call her.
Okay.
Family therapy started this morning
Mhm.
also.
With Mom and Lila.
Yes, we haven't had the girls weren't present for the first meeting. She just wanted to establish with me first and get a background, and our next visit will have it'll be a group chat, a group visit.
Okay.
Okay, so whoever is testifying, I guess my question is going to be, what concerns do you have in allowing Ms. Groff to do overnight visits?
I think that the only concerns that we had was that she was only supposed to be doing supervised visits at the caregiver's house. We were not informed that she was doing unsupervised at this time.
And Ms. Mouton, were you at the family group conference?
In April,
Correct.
I'm unsure. Well,
Who was the previous caseworker?
it's Savannah Wells.
So Judge, I was there, and we did approve unsupervised visits. And we even talked about that they wouldn't be going to her house because she didn't want them to be sad if they and not understand why they couldn't stay. So that was approved. I don't know where the ball fell on that. Ms. Mouton, any
Judge, well, if I might, Judge, that I recall that same thing too. And I think part of the issue here, if I could just say something, I'm out of order. You can tell me to go away.
Go
Is
on,
it-
Ms. I mean, let's
Okay.
just. Chase.
I just want to cut to the chase. It's like when we had our last hearing, the request was for a monitored return, and the ad litem's hadn't been consulted on that. We were very concerned about the outstanding positive drug test, which was determined not to be a UA, but was determined to be the old hair strand, because the report had it in there incorrectly. That was very concerning. The other concerning thing was that she originally tested positive for meth in this case, and she hadn't had any drug counseling whatsoever in the case. That was determined, according to Brooklyn anyway, that was determined to be an exposure only for meth. So she was around someone that was smoking. There wasn't high enough level for it to have been a use of meth. I totally get that. I understand that. What we don't want is we don't want for Ms. Groth to fail. There's a lot of kids going home. a lot of kids unsupervised. She's got 2 months left. She just started her parenting classes. She did not complete protective parenting or nurturing parenting. The classes she's taking are at the Pregnancy Resource Center. I think Ms. Tabor is going to include those in hers, but we don't want her to have stuff that she needs to do and needs to complete that she hasn't started yet. And then we've got the kids on overnights and everything else. And then when they have the baby, the kids are going to need to go back to Lisa's, and we're kind of playing yo-yo with the kids. So we've got 2 months left. We have given her free reign on a lot of supervised and a lot of unsupervised visits to come and go as she pleases. She does as much as she can, but I don't want to jerk these kids back when the baby is born. If we're not ready yet, I want her to focus on her services and complete those. She's only working 10, 15 hours because she's very, very pregnant and it's hard for her to do. So, that reduces her time for work. It reduces her time for her classes and her other services. And I feel like we're setting her up for failure. If we start doing overnights, then we have a baby and the kids have to go back to Lisa's until we can sort things out. So we really wanted her to be further along on her services. We're only 5 months in the case and get this done.
And Judge, just
Sure.
As far as why she's not further along, she had a psychological, the parenting classes and the drug counseling was not on her original service plan. She had a psychological on February 6th, and no one from the department notified her that she needed to do these parenting classes or the drug counseling until Brooklyn came in. The department actually asked for a monitored return in their court report on May 5th. But then Brooklyn got the case and said, oh, no, she needs to do all this other stuff. And so now they're like, well, you're not far enough along, but she has done every single thing.
Okay, so, and I would like to clarify some things. So, so the department did admit they dropped the ball there for a little bit. However, when we were talking about visits for mom, if everyone would recall, that items wouldn't even agree to unsupervised through the last emails that I received. So the department was unaware she was doing so much unsupervised, had so much unsupervised time. So we wanted to do a progressive step up where she would have like the whole day Saturday, which it looks like she's already getting. So at this point, since she's been doing that, obviously the next step is overnight visits, and we believe those should begin immediately. However, in all of the discussions leading up to this hearing, it was talked about that she shouldn't even have day unsupervised visits, which apparently she's been having. So at this time, the department thinks that since she's been having all of this unsupervised time, she is complying with all of her services. Her individual therapist is beginning the substance abuse targeted treatment and counseling, including parenting. We believe that she should start some unsupervised, whether that's one overnight and then start progressing depending on her progress. I don't believe that it would be traumatic for the children if she had the kiddos and was doing overnight, then had the baby and the kids had to be with the current placement for a little while, because those are natural things that happen in any family. We all get help, and we all, if we have children, our families step up to help. And if that's what's going to happen, that is a natural thing that happens in any family and should not be traumatic for the children, so long as they understand the reason for staying there for a little while, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Weed, what do you want to say?
My original recommendation was just for Saturdays or Sunday, just an all-day visit, and just do this progressively, not to rush into anything, to give the kids and mom the opportunity to adjust to each other again, and then we'll progress on to overnights. But I am in agreement with Susan that they've been jerked up enough as it is, and then get used to being with mom on the weekends all weekend long, and then all of a sudden there's a new baby, and they don't get to be there anymore until she gets over her delivery and adjusts to all the newness of a baby. So my feeling was just start with the all day Saturday or all day Sunday and go from there.
I
And
have
Your
some
Honor-
questions
Your
for Ms.
Honor,
Lee.
Go
You
ahead.
know, y'all, I already know what I'm gonna do,
Okay.
so I don't even really know why we need to keep going on. Ms. Groth, when's your due date?
August 12th, 2
Okay.
months from now.
Okay. Well, I mean, anybody else? I mean, I know what y'all want. I know what I'm gonna do. So
May I say something? Or is that
maybe just all be quiet. Okay.
okay?
Okay. Going to enter a temporary injunction against Mr. Gardner and Poppy Yarborough from having any contact with the children, and they are not to go within 100 yards of anywhere the children are located. That means the schools, mom's house, placement, etc. Mom is not to take the children to Burger King. I said it wrong. Any violation of this visitation's contact order, mom's visits immediately cease. Mom must complete all her classes before the baby is born, because after that, she's not going to be able to do that. She's going to be a little busy. I'm going to let her have the children overnight for 1 night per week during weekdays, as agreed by her and placement. They are to be picked up after daycare and returned to daycare at their regular time the next morning. She can also have the children 1 night per weekend, either Friday or Saturday, and that's as agreed by CPS, placement, and in items. After the 7/16/23 weekend, then she can have the same 1 weeknight, and then those can progress to overnight weekends. And that is to continue. So basically, I got a month of 1 night a weekend and 1 weekday, and then I got another month of all weekends and 1 night during the week. And that is all going to progress until we come back to court, excuse me, on 8/15/23, and we see where we're at.
Okay.
And then we'll see where she is on a monitor return. I understand that she probably would have given birth by then, and the kids might have to stay back with the aunt or whatever, but you know, we're sort of doing, I mean, this is the national, y'all know I call it baby steps. This is the baby step progression. And I would ideally like, I mean, the children are going to go to Marble Falls, whether they're at, well, I don't know, I guess it would go to a different elementary school. They'd go to whatever that one in Granite Shoals is versus one in Marble Falls, you know, so we kind of need to make a plan so we don't have to yank the Lila up, you know, halfway through the semester and change her in schools.
Right, Judge, and I think there's a pending ARD at the current school, which getting that changed over to the new school. I don't know.
Well, at least it's the same school district, and I don't think we're ARDs during the summer, are they?
The ARD has been completed. They recommended no further services.
Good deal.
Also, I was hoping to have them enrolled in the school in Granite Shoals. That's why I was hoping to have this figured during summer so that we could plan. They said that it'd be really easy to transfer from Marble Falls to Granite Shoals. So I did register them to go to Marble Falls next year, and then it'd be easy transfer as soon as you guys let us know that it's okay. Also,
When
what
does
parents
school start in
classes?
Marble Falls? Hold on. When does school start in Marble Falls?
I need to find the exact date.
I think it's like August 16th. It's kind of early this year.
On a Wednesday?
Burn, it's the same way on a Wednesday. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good because we got court to 15.
Okay, so hopefully we can decide and put them right into school. That'd be great. What parenting classes are we talking about me taking that I haven't taken? Because I've taken them every Thursday. You said something about preventative
Protective parenting, and that's going to be incorporated in your individual therapy with Miss Tina Nunley.
And there's also nurturing therapy, which was also recommended, both of those classes. So I don't know that Deb is going to be able to get those done before she has the baby, unless we double up.
Can't you do nurturing at the pregnancy center?
I'm taking several different types of classes at the pregnancy center. I'm not sure what category they fall under.
I don't think there's one specifically
Not
for
It's
nurturing.
it's not the same. No, they have all kinds of other different things, but not something by a licensed therapist, and it's not nurturing.
I also signed up on my own
Volunteers.
for a therapy class through Phoenix Center for a parenting class that it's not really part of the case, but I can.
Is it the parent-child relationship therapy?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Would that qualify as that? It won't be completed by the time I'm having the baby. It's still like a 6 weeks.
So Miss Tina Nunley will do those parenting classes with you and your individual therapy.
Okay, so I'm set up for all the services already
Yes,
that I
yes,
need to be
yes.
doing. Okay, I thought there was a few more introduced a minute ago.
I think that was it.
No, they'll all be covered in your individual therapy with Miss Nunley.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I look forward to having more overnight visits. The girls are used to having me every weekend, and they are definitely going to be excited for this.
Well, ma'am, you still have your service plan. You have to comply. Your parental rights be subject to termination. I mean, ideally, other than just continuing on family therapy and stuff after the baby's born and after the kids get back home and all that. I mean, I wish you could be done with all your services by the time the baby. But here's the deal. If you screw it up, you're going to screw it up pretty big time. And wouldn't think that, since this, what I'm doing is kind of against the ad litem's recommendation, they're probably not going to be real keen on recommending a monitored return or anything like that anytime soon. Probably have to do an extension, then a monitored return or something like that. So just do the right thing. And I urge you highly it's not fair that you busted your butt to do what you need to do to get your kids home. And these dads hadn't lifted a finger. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
Well,
not letting them mess it up for me.
Keep that
That's
in
what
your
it feels like is happening.
sniffing around or coming around or wanting to see kids, that's a big oh no. Okay. And I don't know anything about your mom, but it sounds like, hold on, I'll do that in a second because there's different stuff. Sorry. Sounds like there's some issues. I don't need to get into that, but I know your mom's your mom, but it sounds like you got some other good family. We know you got good family because you
I
got.
don't have a great relationship with my mom. I have no problem keeping her away from the girls.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, that's what you need to do anyway, whether we're in the case or not. They don't need to be around, bad influences and stuff. So
I agree.
okay, we will. I hope this all works out. I don't want to have any more emergency or special hearings, and we'll see you on August 15th. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good luck. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Judge.
Bye.
He's on-